being in an inventory heavy business, what's some of the biggest challenge when it comes to forecasting demand? You don't know what colors people like. You don't know if it's not going to snow one year, right? What are some of the challenges in managing inventory?
It's probably the hardest part of this business, I would say. And that's what I'm working on right now. Even after a really great winter, our biggest issue over the past 2 or 3 years actually has been we've been selling out of inventory too fast. So instead of being, too risky, we've almost been too risk averse in the past 2 or 3 years. And this year, we were out of most of our jackets by mid-December, which is terrible considering, January is our biggest month of the year. So I think the hardest part for us is now taking on that risk. And it probably goes back to when, we made the big mistake of taking on too much risk, 4 or 5 years ago. And so I think, outerwear is probably one of the hardest uh, clo- clothing sectors to forecast just because it is seasonal and it's very seasonal. Even rain jackets are seasonal, excuse me. And so, there's not really models built out. Like in business school, we learned a lot of different forecasting models and you can kind of factor in seasonality. But factoring in seasonality accompanied with, exponential growth, it's super, super difficult to model that. And so we kind of have to go just based on what we think the current state of the union is. What do we think, our business realistically is looking at for growth next year, paired with how much did we sell last year? So it's definitely the most difficult part of this business. And right now we are consistently under ordering. So we're really working right now to bolster the courage to take the risk again for next year and kind of bank on the fact that the past 2 or 3 years we have sold out so early. But it's also really difficult for us because outerwear is much, much more technical to develop than like say a t-shirt. A t-shirt lead time, you could probably place an order for, 1,000 t-shirts and have it at your door in 3 to 6 weeks. Outerwear, the lead time is anywhere between 6 to 9 months. So here we are sitting at the beginning of March and we're just placing our order that's supposed to arrive, towards the end of September. So we only have one chance to get this right. It's not, we can't see in November that things are going really well and be like, okay, let's place another order and have this by the beginning of January. You got one chance to get your order in. And if you mess up, you mess up. And there's this, this year I could have told you by middle of November that we were going to sell out of a lot of our inventory really early. But there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. I couldn't place an order and have it at our door to sell in January. So, yeah, it definitely is incredibly difficult. And then couple that with just the sizing complexity of our size range. We've had to really develop our own sizing standards because we're the first people to ever, exist in this niche of extended plus size outerwear for both men and women. So we've gone from the ground up and worked with a lot of like plus size models, and we have a bunch of fit models that we have used to help develop our sizing standards. And so, yeah, it is an incredibly difficult process to navigate. I would say it's more difficult than like 90% of inventory heavy businesses, just because you couple a, super niche sizing standard with long lead times and then factor in seasonality and growth. It's difficult, and I can't say we've mastered it yet, unfortunately, but I'm hoping we get it more right this year than we did the year before.